Shabbat Shalom PJC, good Shabbos. This Shabbos, Parshas Acharei Kedoshim, presents to us some of the most important, some of the most challenging laws and ideas, the values of the Torah. Acharei Kedoshim is filled with the laws of Yom Kippur, the laws of appropriate and inappropriate intimate relationships, and laws as it relates to food and sacrifice and how we engage with our physical world in a sanctified way. In fact, the opening pasuk of the second parsha we're going to read, not the opening pasuk, the second pasuk, Daber kol das b'nei Yisrael, v'amartar lehem, Kedoshim Tihiyu, ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. You should be holy because I am holy, God says. One of the most profound and important messages. It sounds like it's almost the mission statement. It's the elevator pitch of the Torah. The entire purpose of what we are trying to do, who we are trying to be, is Kedoshim Tihiyu, is for us to be Kadosh. The Ramban famously points out that one can be 100% observant Jew and still not fulfill the mitzvah of Kedoshim Tihiyu. The words he uses have become almost slang. That you're navol b'rishus HaTorah, you can observe all of the mitzvot. Because in the end of the day, the Torah does not demand abstinence, but rather demands a controlled, a thoughtful, a deliberate approach to how we live and engage in this physical world. The Torah doesn't demand that we should be removed and distanced, isolated, but rather the Torah demands that we should be controlled, we should be thoughtful, we should be values-driven. One can be completely observant and still be navul b'rishus HaTorah, still be repulsive in the eyes of the Torah, because you're living an observant Jew, but missing the entire point, missing the entire culture, the entire environment that we are trying to create. That's why the pasuk immediately following the one we just shared, Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael Kedoshim Tihiyu, the next pasuk, Ish imo va'aviv tira'u ve'es shabsasai tishmoru. Fear your parents and observe, safeguard the Shabbat. Why is that the next pasuk? Because those two elements in our lives are what create the environment of our lives. It's what creates the values of our lives. Right? The messages that our parents imparted to us, the way they treated us, the attention they gave us, they give us, both positive and negative, shape how we view our entire world, shape the mission, the subconscious purpose in the world, and Shabbos itself, how we keep Shabbos, how Shabbos shapes our lives, how Shabbos shapes our time, shapes our week, our purpose, our sense of mission, our identity, is that value of Kedoshim Tihiyu. One can keep Shabbat to the nth degree, to the letter of the law, and still not safeguard Shabbat. One can be careful, right? One of the reasons why so often we brush up against this idea that we shouldn't do something because it's not Shabbosdik, because it's not in the spirit of Shabbat, is because Shabbos, the whole point of it, is to create that kadosh environment that is beyond the observance of the mitzvot. I often think as a rabbi, my responsibility, is it to encourage you to keep mitzvot? Is it to talk about the intricacies of how much matzah one must eat, or the complexities of how one should take medicine on Shabbat or not take medicine on Shabbat? Am I here to present to you the restrictions and the deliberate approach to life? Or is our goal, is the purpose of our community to create a kehila kedosha, to create this sanctified community? Of course we need to keep mitzvot. Of course we need to strive to define our lives by the observance of what God asks us for. But we can't limit the work to that. You can't be a kadosh Jew if all you're about is keeping mitzvot. There's more to it. In fact, there's perhaps another way to read this pasuk. Daber al kol das b'nei Yisrael. Speak to all of the communities of Israel. And it's profound that this instruction is not given to the individual, but it's given to the kihilot, it's given to the communities, the adas b'nei Yisrael, right? You can't create Kedusha in a vacuum, in isolation. You can only create Kedusha in an adas b'nei Yisrael, v'amartar aleihem, and say to them, Kedoshim Tihiyu, you should be holy, ki kadosh, ani Hashem Elokechem. Remember, the first instruction shared with the Jewish people at Har Sinai is Anochi Hashem Elokechem. The first of the 613 commandments, the first of the Aseret Hadibrot, the 10 commandments shared at Har Sinai, is the instruction to live a faith-driven life. Faith cannot be found in isolation. Faith cannot be found by one's self. It has to be found in a kadosh environment. It has to be found in a kadosh community. And so, it's been such a blessing and profound and overwhelming feeling to watch people return to shul. We have outgrown our small tent space. Baruch Hashem, thank God 1,000 times over. And we still have that tension, that challenge around how to maintain the highest value of safety in what we do, while also trying to embrace and trying to recreate the Kedusha, the sanctity of days of past, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem, those days in which we were meeting in the basement beneath my feet, in which we created and doubled down on the sense of Kedusha in our community. If we're just about observance, then we miss the opportunity to also be about Kedusha, to be driven by the values of sanctity and holiness, the values of being greater than just ourselves, but being greater together and trying to see God, trying to recognize God. Ani Hashem Elokechem. The goal of Kedoshim Tihiyu is not just to be holy. The goal of Kedoshim Tihiyu is to recognize God, is to experience God. I hope and pray as we continue to explore in the coming days, the coming weeks, as we continue to build and grow, that the goal, our goal, is to expand on our observance, specifically with the intention, with the deliberate intention, to build our Kihila Kedosha, to build our community that is focused on sanctity. Kedoshim, Acharei Kedoshim challenges us so profoundly. There are so many instructions and commands and mitzvot and restrictions in these parshiot that challenge our modern sensibilities to think more deeply about our values, to think more deeply not just about our observance, but about our purpose in creating a holy community. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom, a peaceful, a healthy, and a holy Shabbos.